Nobody returns from Black River Cabin. Story inspired by legends and alleged accounts from remote Romanian villages. Chapter 1. The Village That Faces Away. In the autumn of 1987, in the Carpathian Mountains of Romania, there was a village so small it did not appear on any official map. The locals called it Corbeni Vechi, Old Ravens. Only 41 people lived there. Wood smoke, sheep bells, a single dirt road that ended at a wooden bridge over a river so dark it looked like moving oil. Nobody crossed that bridge after sunset, not once, not ever. The villagers did not explain why. They simply turned their chairs away from the forest when evening came, faced their own front doors, and waited for the sun to rise again. 4 university students arrived that September to document vanishing mountain villages before the roads reached them and modern life erased them forever. Their names were Radu, Elena, Bogdan, and Ioana. They had cameras, they had notebooks, they had no idea what they were walking into. The first thing they noticed before they'd even parked the truck was the silence. Not peaceful silence, the kind of silence a place has after something terrible, when even the birds have learned better than to sing there. No dogs barked, no children played in the road. Every house they passed had its shutters latched from the inside, even at midday, even with the sun still high enough to warm the stones. The villagers let them stay in an empty stone house near the church, a house they would later learn had stood empty for 11 years, since the family who lived in it stopped answering their door one October morning and were never seen again. Nobody told the students that part. An old woman named Marta brought them soup on the first night and said only one thing before she left. When the sun goes down, close your shutters. Do not look at the trees. Do not answer if something calls your name. Elena laughed nervously and asked why. Marta's eyes moved just for a second toward the tree line beyond the window, and something in that glance made the laughter die in Elena's throat. Marta did not answer the question. She simply crossed herself and walked away into the gray light, careful never to turn her back to the forest until her own door was shut behind her, and even then they heard 3 separate locks turn. Bogdan counted them out loud, half choking. Nobody else laughed. Chapter 2. The First Night. That night, the students sat by candlelight, half amused, half unsettled. Bogdan joked that the whole village was performing some ancient superstition for tourists. Good for the documentary, he said, real atmosphere. Radu wasn't so sure. Through a gap in the shutters, he watched the villagers' windows one by one go dark, but not before he saw every single person in Corbeni Vechi standing at their window, facing inward, backs turned to the black wall of trees outside. Not one of them looked out, not even a glance. Around 11 p.m., the temperature in the stone house dropped fast enough that Elena's breath started fogging in front of the candle. She thought it was a draft. There was no draft. Every shutter was latched. At exactly 11:47 p.m., something knocked on the stone house's door. 3 slow knocks, evenly spaced, deliberate, the knock of something that had all the patience in the world. Then silence so complete they could hear their own pulses. Ioana went to answer it. Radu grabbed her wrist before she reached the handle. Outside, a voice, soft, almost affectionate, said Ioana's name, not shouted, whispered, close against the wood, as if it already knew her, as if it had known her longer than she had known herself. Nobody in the house had told anyone their names. They stood frozen, all four of them, staring at that door. The voice did not speak again, but something pressed against the wood from the other side, slow, testing, like a hand feeling for a weak spot, and the whole door bowed inward half an inch before settling back into its frame with a groan that none of them would forget. The knocking did not return, but none of them slept that night. In the morning, the door showed 3 deep gouges at exactly the height of a human hand, except the marks were nearly a foot wide, and the wood around each gouge had blackened as though something had scorched it rather than clawed it.
Chapter 3. The One Who Went Missing. By the 3rd day, the fear inside the house had curdled into something the students didn't want to name. They tried to leave. The truck wouldn't start, though nothing was wrong with the engine, and when Radu popped the hood, he found the battery cables neatly disconnected, both of them, laid side by side on the engine block, as if placed there by careful hands. The village elder told them the road out was washed away 2 kilometers south. Nobody offered to help. Nobody looked them in the eye anymore, and more than once Elena caught villagers watching them from behind cracked shutters with an expression that wasn't fear at all. It was pity. On the 3rd night, Ioana woke to the sound of someone standing outside her door, breathing, slow, deep, deliberate breaths, timed to match her own, as if whatever stood there was learning the rhythm of her fear. She did not open the door. She lay frozen until the breathing simply stopped, all at once, mid-breath, like something had been switched off. On the 4th night, Bogdan couldn't sleep. He stepped outside for air, just for a moment, just to breathe. Elena heard the door creak. By the time she reached the window, she saw him standing at the edge of the tree line, perfectly still, staring into the dark, closer to the trees than any of them had gone in 4 days, and none of them had seen him walk there. She called his name. He did not turn around.
Chapter 4. Marta's Warning. The remaining 3, Radu, Elena, and Ioana, banged on every door in the village that night, begging for help. Every door stayed shut. Every window went dark the moment they approached. Curtains snatched closed by hands that never showed themselves. At one house, Elena swore she heard a child crying inside, cut off mid-sob the instant she knocked. Only Marta answered, cracking her door just wide enough to speak, one eye in the gap, the rest of her face lost in shadow. "It has him already," she said. "Nothing you do tonight will bring him back. But if you go looking, if you cross the bridge, it will have all of you." "What is it?" Radu demanded, his voice cracking with something between fury and panic. Marta's hands were shaking so badly the door rattled against its frame. We do not know what to call it. Our grandmothers did not know what to call it. It has lived in that forest longer than this village has existed, longer than the church, longer than the road. It does not want to hurt you. It wants to keep you. There is a difference, and the difference is worse.
"Keep us where?" Marta whispered, and something in the way she said the word made all three of them go cold. "There is a cabin," she whispered, and something in the way she said the word made all three of them go cold. "It should not exist. It is not on any map, not in any record, not in any photograph anyone has ever managed to take. It appears only to those it has chosen, and once it has chosen you, there is no unchoosing. If your friend is anywhere, he is there. But I am begging you, do not cross that bridge. Whatever you find inside that cabin will follow you home. It always follows them home." "Always?" Iona asked. "This has happened before?" Marta's silence answered louder than words. Behind her, deep in the house, something scraped once across a wooden floor, slow, deliberate, and far too heavy to have been made by anything living. She shut the door before they could ask anything else. They heard the lock turn, and then the sound of furniture being dragged in front of it, and then, faintly, Marta's voice through the wood, murmuring what might have been a prayer or might have been an apology.
Chapter 5. Crossing the Black River. They crossed anyway. What else could they do? Leave Bogdan out there, alone in the dark, with whatever had taken him. The wooden bridge groaned under their weight, each board sagging lower than it should, as though the bridge itself resented being used. Below, the river made no sound at all, no current, no ripple, just a flat black mirror reflecting a moon that wasn't there, because the sky above them, when Radu made the mistake of looking up that night, held no moon at all. On the far bank, the temperature dropped so fast their breath turned to fog mid-word, and Iwana's flashlight, brand new, fully charged, flickered once and died the moment her boots touched the far side. The forest swallowed the sound of their own footsteps entirely. No insects, no wind, no birds, not even the memory of birds, no nests, no old feathers, nothing that suggested anything had ever lived in that forest and survived it. Just the three of them, and the crunch of frost-hardened leaves that seemed too loud, too exposed, like the forest was listening to every step and cataloging it. Twice, Elena was certain something moved parallel to them, just past the edge of what Radu's flashlight could reach. A shape that kept perfect pace, never closing the distance, never falling behind, matching them stride for stride through trees that shouldn't have allowed anything that size to move so silently. 20 minutes in, Iwana found it first. A small wooden cabin tucked into a hollow between two dead pines, exactly where no cabin should be, where the map Radu carried, checked twice against a compass, showed nothing but unbroken forest for 11 more kilometers. Firelight flickered behind a single window. Smoke rose from the chimney in a straight, unnatural line, untouched by wind. And beneath the smell of wood smoke, faint but unmistakable, came the smell of something sweet and spoiled, like fruit left to rot in a warm room. They should have turned back right there. None of them did. Chapter 6. Inside. The door was unlocked. Warm air rolled out to meet them, thick with the smell of pine smoke and something underneath it, something sweetish and wrong, like meat left too long near a fire. For a moment, none of them moved. The warmth itself felt like a trap, a kindness offered by something that did not understand what kindness was, only that it made people walk toward open doors. Ioana went in first, because she always went first. Radu followed, one hand still gripping the door frame as though he might need to pull himself back out. Elena came last and did not let the door close all the way behind her. Inside, a single room, a fireplace burning low but bright, the flames a strange shade of orange-blue that none of them recognized from any fire they'd seen before. A wooden table set for 4 people, though only 3 had crossed the bridge. 4 chairs, 4 plates, 4 cups, all of it laid out with a care that made the room feel less like an abandoned cabin and more like something was expected home for supper. On the table, one detail none of them mentioned aloud until much later. The 4th plate had food on it, untouched, still steaming. And in the corner, where a hunting cabin should have nothing but a woodpile and a rifle rack, there stood a narrow wooden staircase climbing into darkness. The problem was simple, and none of them said it out loud at first. From outside, the cabin had 1 floor, a single sloped roof, low enough that Radu could have touched the eaves standing on his toes. No windows on any upper level, no upstairs at all. They had all seen it, all 3 of them, standing at the edge of the clearing before they ever opened that door. And yet the staircase climbed on into a ceiling that shouldn't hold a 2nd floor, each step a little narrower than the one below it, disappearing into a shadow that swallowed the firelight 2 steps up and gave nothing back. Fresh mud tracked up every step, Bogdan's boot size, the same tread pattern Elena had memorized without meaning to, back when the 4 of them still laughed together in the stone house, back when none of this was real yet. Elena's voice came out as barely a breath. "He went up there." "There's nothing up there," Radu said, and he said it again, quieter, like repeating it might make it true. "There's nothing up there because there's nothing up there to go up to." The fire cracked. Somewhere above them, wood settled, the specific, ordinary sound of a house shifting its weight, except this house had no upstairs to shift. From the top of the stairs, faint and small, Bogdan's voice called down to them. "Guys, I think I found a way out." It was his voice. It was exactly his voice. That was the worst part. Not that it sounded wrong, but that it sounded so completely, perfectly right. Chapter 7. What Waited at the Top. Ioana went first. She always went first, the bravest of the 4, the one who'd talked them all into this trip in the first place. Radu and Elena followed, every stair creaking louder than it should, the sound swallowed instantly by the dark above, as though the staircase were feeding on the noise instead of echoing it. The air changed with every step, colder, then warmer, then colder again, in no pattern that made sense, like walking through a house with no insulation at all, a house built from something other than wood. At the top, There was no attic, no second floor, only a long hallway that could possibly fit inside the cabin's frame, wooden walls stretching far beyond where the outside walls ended, farther than the clearing itself could have contained, lit by candles mounted at even intervals, each one burning with no flicker at all, dead still flames in perfectly dead still air. The candles did not smell like wax. They did not smell like anything. Doors lined the hallway on both sides, dozens of them, all shut, all identical. None of them said what they were all thinking, that a hallway this long with this many doors meant a cabin this size had swallowed something far larger than a single missing friend. Bogdan stood at the far end of the hallway. His back was to them. "Bogdan," Elena said, her voice cracked on the second syllable. "We're here. Let's go." He didn't move. His shoulders were wrong, too high, too still, rising and falling with a breathing rhythm too slow to be human, like something counting down instead of breathing at all.
Chapter 8. The Run That Never Ends. They didn't remember reaching the stairs. They didn't remember reaching the door. One moment they were 3 feet from that lifting curtain of black hair, and the next they were sprinting through frozen forest, branches tearing at their coats, the smell of wood smoke chasing them through trees that seemed to rearrange themselves with every step. A path that had taken 20 minutes to walk in, now stretching on, as though the forest itself was deciding how long this would last. Behind them, they heard it. Not footsteps, something dragging, slow, patient, unhurried, because it already knew it didn't need to hurry. Whatever it was, it did not run. It simply followed at exactly the pace of something that had never once failed to catch what it wanted. Ioana fell first, her ankle catching a root hidden under frost, and for one horrible second Radu and Elena kept running before some instinct, shame or love, or the last scrap of who they'd been that night, dragged them back to pull her up. Behind them, in the dark, the dragging sound stopped. For 3 full seconds, there was nothing. No wind, no dragging,
no breathing but their own. Then it started again, closer than before, as if it had simply chosen to let them have that. They reached the bridge, crossed it, boots pounding the frozen wood, and collapsed on the village side, gasping, certain, desperately, foolishly certain, that the black river now stood between them and whatever waited in that hallway. Water was supposed to mean something. Every story they'd ever heard said so. They were wrong. The dragging sound followed them across the bridge, unhurried as ever, the boards groaning under a weight none of them could see. It followed them down the dirt road, past shuttered windows where not a single villager dared to look outside. It followed them, unseen, all the way to the door of the stone house, and there, she told herself it was just standing there. Then, very slowly, without moving its feet at all, it began to lean. Not walk, not step, but tilt forward at an angle no standing body should be able to hold. Closer and closer to the ground, as if the rules that kept the rest of the world upright simply did not apply to it. The candle beside her guttered, though the window was shut and the air was still. She never spoke of what happened after the candle went out. Radu and Elena only knew that by morning, Ioana's hair, jet black the day before, had 3 streaks of white running through it, and she flinched every time a door closed anywhere in the house for the rest of her life, no matter how gently it was closed. He never opened that door. He sold the apartment 2 weeks later to a young couple who never asked why the previous owner left every light in the building burning every night until the day he moved out. To this day, Corbeni Vecchi does not appear on any map. Locals who have gone looking for it say the road simply stops at a wooden bridge over a river with no current, and that no matter which direction you walk from there, you eventually find yourself standing at that same bridge again, facing the trees, your own footprints the only ones in the frost, always leading back to where you started. They say the villagers still turn their chairs away from the forest every night. They say new families who move into the empty stone house near the church rarely stay past their first winter, and that the ones who leave early never explain why. They only ever set 4 places at their next dinner table out of habit they can't quite name, for guests who never arrive and are never quite absent either. They say it is because the cabin is still there. And somewhere above it, in a hallway that shouldn't exist, behind a door with your name already carved into the wood, long before you ever thought to visit Romania at all, it is still waiting for someone new to find the stairs. If you enjoyed this story and would like to experience more forgotten legends, haunted places, and chilling tales from around the world, please support Forgotten Heaven by liking this video, sharing it with fellow horror fans, and subscribing to the channel. And remember, some places are forgotten for a reason. Good night.